Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Nظمي النصر.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. وعظم الله أجركم في وفاة ملك الأمة الملك عبد الله بن عبد العزيز رحمه الله. You know, just looking at the group, the crowd, going through the excitement of the ending of such a conference, I find myself putting in a very hard and challenging position to be the person who is going to share with you the closing remarks. I just want to maybe share with you my reflection on the experience of this whole conference. I want to maybe remind the group that started the discussion on this conference of 6 to 7 months ago when we started meeting as Imperial College, the attaché, and the student committees on exactly what is it we want to accomplish out of this conference and why Imperial College and KAUST, together, two powerful universities, worldwide leaders, agreed, decided, and take the honor of being part of this. And those that were in those meetings, we all said, among so many objectives, we want to raise the bar of this conference. This is the 8th, and we said we want to put a remark and a mark for these conferences that from now on, those that will come after us, the 9th conference is going to have a great challenge, the challenge of raising the bar of these conferences. And looking and watching the students yesterday and today, the presentations, the speeches, the posters, and the remarks of the 3 key winners, I have to say we made that objective happen. And I'm so glad that this combination, collaboration, and partnership of these parties have resulted in the objective we set. I want to maybe send a very, very personal, special congratulations to the students' committees. I know, and those that are in the place here, remember the debates, the discussions, the disagreements, the arguments, and beyond on how we want this conference to run. After all, we ended up doing it what they believed is the right way to do it. I have to say for the record, you were right. I think your selection of the organization proved to be the right way to do. So on behalf of all the others that disagreed with it in the beginning, we congratulate you for insisting on your position and your approach. But I want to go back to history a little bit. I was looking at the screen and it says 8th conference. I just remembered that 7 conferences ago, not 8, only 7 conferences ago, we were about to start construction of KAUST. So KAUST didn't even exist in the 1st and the 2nd conference. And here we are on the 8th conference. KAUST is taking the lead on sponsoring and joint efforts with Imperial College, one of the leading universities in the world, with the Brown. And that says a lot too about what things and how things can happen in Saudi Arabia. How can what the world thought was mission impossible, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia made it possible. Not only constructing KAUST, not only opening KAUST, not only being 5 years old university, but a university that is here in London today, being the key sponsor of such conference. So congratulations to the Saudi citizens and to the world. But let me take you back a little bit also in history. Because again, I remember this is a student's event. Well, most of us, if not all of us here, were students at one time in their life. I happen to be one of them. I graduated in the 70s. And in the 70s, late 70s, just to make it look a little bit younger. And in the late 70s, you remember Saudi Arabia was just about to start surfacing on the ground, being a country with aims and inspiration of joining the rest of the world in modernization of a nation. That is not really old nation too, because Saudi Arabia is almost 80 years old country. And in the history of countries, I bet you we are maybe one of the youngest. I mean, Saudi Arabia was only founded in the mid-30s. So in the 70s, when I graduated, my generation was looking around and seeing a nation that is just about to start a journey of development and modernization. I remember there were no highways. There were very few roads. There was electricity in certain cities. There were 4 universities. There were, just the bare minimum of what a country can do. We were the generation that found ourselves part of a great opportunity that we did not want to miss. So I'm saying this for something I'm going to mention later in my remarks. Well, actually, if you go back a little bit in history, in the 40s, we were just about to start the schooling system in Saudi Arabia. There were no schools before the 1940s. More than that, in the 60s, the country was just about opening the first girl schools in the kingdom. And today, majority, more than half, of the students I met today participating, winning, are females. In 1960, there were no female school in this country. And look at where we are today as a nation. So what happened for someone like myself, a graduate of the 70s? What did I see? I lived through transformation of the whole nation. I've seen it with my eyes. In the 70s, there was the build of the total infrastructure of the country. In the 80s, there was the industrialization of the country, the creation of SABIC and the biggest Aramco and the Royal Commission and the industry east and west and in between. In the 90s, it was the move toward higher education and taking the education up to the most. In the early 2000s, that was the major accomplishment of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia of being part of the WTO and the commercialization, the trade agreements and everything. But most importantly, in the early 2000s is the major massive change in the kingdom when we moved from 5 universities to 27 universities in less than 8 years. There's not a single nation that did what Saudi Arabia did. Now, why am I going and taking you through this quick overview of history? What I talked about was 60 years of work of a nation. I'm saying this because the key element, the engine of this change, the engine of this leadership of moving the kingdom from a very small, peaceful, quiet country to what Saudi Arabia today in the eyes of the world, before it's the eyes of its own citizens, it's the energy and youth of the graduates. Everything I mentioned earlier was done through the minds, the brains, the energy of college and university graduates. People like myself in the 70s, I found myself as an engineer moving through, I don't know who, those that have heard the introduction on me and all these different departments I worked on. It was just an engineer among thousands of engineers that found the opportunity to be part of moving the kingdom forward. I'm saying this to conclude by saying it is you, the students, that are going to take the kingdom from where we are today to King Salman's vision on where Saudi Arabia is to be in the next 10 and 20 years. The potential, the opportunity is much greater than anything anybody can imagine or expect. The kingdom is on a track to be way beyond our own expectation. Everything is there to make that happen. We learned nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. If we have the leadership, if we have the will, and if we have the brains and the energy, and I'm sure the energy is here, the brains is here, and our kingdom leaders are the leaders who are going through us and through our energy together, get Saudi Arabia where it belongs. Congratulations again for the great success of this conference, and we are proud in KAUST. We are proud that we were given the opportunity to be part of this great conference. Thank you all, and enjoy your time. Bye.